Hi there viewers, I'm back. I'm here today after playing a little game where a little introverted crab gets his shell repoed because he didn't pay his taxes. I'm Leo Fuego and I'm here today to discuss the possible lore on a game called Another Crab's Treasure. As a rundown, we are a crab named Krill looking to get his shell back, but in the meantime we have to use these strange shells that came from a place beyond the tides, or at least that's what the moon snail says. But we the player can see that it's just trash, stuff that humans made that just ended up in the sea. I cannot say that simply the humans just threw it into the sea because there are some odd things in the sea that we can't just accidentally drop in the water, like a vending machine, a dumpster, the abundance of street signs that seem to be in the very spot they were originally placed. Okay, it's obvious that these objects did not drift into the ocean and landed here. The water seems to have risen quite a bit, enough to be what looks like a mile above where the street signs. In all actuality, these signs are sitting in a coral reef, and coral reefs normally grow at a depth of 490 feet or 150 meters. So the water is not a mile above the signs, only less than a tenth of a mile to be exact. And if the water had risen so much, we can guess from the real world problems like global warming that the ice caps melted, making the sea levels rise. But even if the ice caps completely melted, a number of scientific studies said different numbers and just how much the sea levels rise, but let's go with the highest for this video. Roughly 230 feet or 70 meters. Even at this number, we need to double that amount if we want a new coral reef to develop on these street signs. Well, one potential idea is that what if these melting ice caps cause natural disasters such as tsunamis and earthquakes? This could be an explanation in such a high water level, at the same time some of these odd human trash ending up in the sea, especially from coastal cities. In this game, if the global warming were to take place, that could explain the high water levels, but the water getting warmer, the corals should become white. This is an event called bleaching corals. But as we see, the corals are not white, but rather they are colorful and vibrant. So perhaps global warming doesn't explain the rise in water, but that is where you'd be wrong. We can see from the newspapers around the game, there is a headline that reads, "Prepare for a major weather," and the paper folds in a way where the rest of it's cut off. Not only that, but there has a picture of what looks like a bleached coral, meaning that at this time, the water was so warm, the coral was starting to lose its color. But if coral reefs bleach, they are not dead, they are just dying, and if the conditions turn back to normal, coral reefs could regain their color. Meaning if the water turned cold enough back to roughly 74 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit, back to the temperatures before, the corals would be just fine for them to regain their color, but regaining color after bleaching could take decades for coral reefs. So is that it? Are we just in a world where it was once in danger, but the humans of this game stepped up and saved the planets? I think that's not quite the answer. The sea water levels, I want to say no amount of human interference could somehow make the water cold again, back to their original temperature, because the coral reefs, even if 1 degree difference in temperature, for 4 weeks, the corals bleach. But if you did not know that the coral reef will fire off its last ditch effort to survive. And when it does this, it develops a variety of neon colors, the same color that we see in the game of these bright, beautiful colors. These are not colors of a healthy reef doing just fine, but rather a dying reef that is trying its best to survive. But remember, this coral reef is amongst a lot of man-made trash, meaning it had time to grow and develop on these objects before using their final trick up their sleeve to survive. Meaning that 1, they either previously were growing before the trash appeared, or 2, that after a certain point, they started growing after the trash had settled here before, assuming that the water had been getting hotter due to global warming, finally landing on a temperature warm enough for these reefs to develop on this trash, and ultimately getting too hot afterwards for them to ultimately die again. Of these two possibilities, I believe the latter is what's the case in this game. In the game, there is a location called Flotsam Vale. There is an archway that has a license plate that says a 3-letter word before the word Cascadia. And this word has multiple meanings, but I feel like the devs were trying to hint at the Cascadia subsection zone. A large zone of land ranging from the coast of California to the British Columbia, with the sea waters in the zone ranging from 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So if the game is telling us that we are somewhere in this zone, this area has a lot of coastal cities as well as records of them having earthquakes. Making my theory of coastal cities that had their trash swept to sea due to natural disasters and with the rise of temperature in the ocean so that can coral reefs develop and die more plausible. So what about the humans? If the humans try to save the ocean, a good start would be to maybe clean up all the garbage on the sea floor. Or the trash island that seems to make a timely return like a holiday. Or more importantly, not have pipes of what the game calls gunk traveling to the ocean on these rusty pipelines ready to fall apart. And by the time of the game, Krill enters the ocean to retrieve a shell, the pipelines did in fact fall. But what if I told you that the humans were not negligent on their effects on the ocean, but were very aware, and a particular company that took the economy by storm to, rather than fix the problem, but of a way to just live with the crisis at hand? No other than the in-game company and the publisher of the game itself, AgroCrap. Yes, the company AgroCrap. It seems to have taken the economy by storm by having a hand in many consumable products. Most notably in this video will be their non-copyright brand of cigarettes called Mario's, with the words "Open me, haha, you won't" on the box. If you were at all following me before this point, I probably lost you now, but let me explain. In the world of Another Crab's Treasure, these sea creatures know things of taxes, business, and the economy, medieval knights into even that era of confusing dialect. Well, what if these crabs and other various crustaceans were not some animals that learn things off what not-so-local newspaper, but were humans that still remember these things about the old world while now as crabs? Normal sea creatures would not know of these things. They are just trivial matters in the ocean, where surviving is the goal of any underwater creature. But have you noticed every time we find a new moon shell, there is this DNA structure floating in the air? Before you activate the moon shell, remember that the cigarettes have a warning on the back. It says that these cigarettes will carcinize you. Never heard of this word before? Well, neither did I before this game. Well, with a quick Google search, this word means the development of a non-crab crustaceans to seemingly develop a crab-like form. It appears that AgroCrab somehow managed to make a cigarette that can turn a human into a crab. So rather than fix whatever world problem going on with the sea, you can just be a crab and live under the sea. Every time a human smokes these cigarettes, their DNA changes to evolve into crabs. Just look at these crabs that were a part of Stalactite's brigade. Even they seem to have feet. Not just claws, but feet. Even in a forever resting position. Versus the crabs that attack us. They don't have these feet-like features, but they look like crabs with actual crab legs. These are humans that evolved to the point where they are fully crab. The only human feature about them is their brain. They still know that weapons and armor are superior than just claws. These humans didn't feel like saving the world, they just wanted to live with it, and if being a crab was easier option, then that's what they did. Well, even when forcing evolution, I'm pretty sure they would take a long time, and if I had to guess, humans were still kicking around when the game takes place. How else would there be banana peels, pizza crust, and what looks like a corn dog? I previously thought that this thing was a water sausage. Then I thought to myself that a water sausage didn't make sense. Fun fact, just because it has water in the name doesn't mean it grows underwater. Well, viewers, that's all I have for you this week. This bright and colorful game that looks innocent on the surface is actually hiding a dark reality that can very much be our own if we're not careful. I'm not talking about the environmental stuff, I'm talking about turning into the crab thing. While there was a number of details that I did not explore in this video, like the one of the townspeople saying how they have noticed less and less hermit crabs, while the hermit crabs we do find talk about what sounds like of an end of a world event. What the trash island is and where it came from, or what the truth that seems to be to drive these crabs crazy because they couldn't handle knowing what they know now. And the answer for those things are, I don't know. This video is a little different, as in I haven't finished the game yet. I'm actively playing the game while trying to figure out the lore before I've seen everything the story has to tell. So this time I'm discovering the lore of this game with you and giving my own theories before I finish the game and seeing what sticks, what I missed, and what I foolishly looked over and didn't give a second thought. This game is very fun, and knowing me, I'll take extra long to beat it because I'll be looking for the lore and trying to 100% the game. I definitely recommend anyone to play, especially if they're Souls fans. But with that said, like, subscribe, comment, share, all this stuff. Doing these things show YouTube that you like my content and think it's worth being viewed by others. And with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.